Okay, so here we are at the end of the runway 33. We're cleared for takeoff. LNAV, VNAV armed. I'm going to hit the toga here. The thrust will be set for takeoff. Okay, so we're out there, and watch what happens on the LNAV and VNAV as we lift off. Put that off so you can see a little bit less light in there. And setting the thrust now. Stand them up to stabilize the engines. Park brake is off. Okay, so the engines are stabilized. I'm going to hit the toga. There you go. The thrust is going to be set. Thrust is now set. And we're accelerating. The aeroplane's accelerating. 40 knots, 50 knots, 60, 70, like that. So I'm controlling it and keeping it straight on the runway with the rudder pedals. My left hand is on the control column, and we'll head rushing towards V1. There's V1. I take my hand off the thrust levers and rotate. I lift. I pull back on this, and the nose is lifting. See that? So let's have a look. We're climbing away 50 feet. It says LNAV engaged. See that? Command. The autopilot is in command. And watch what happens at 400 feet. 400 feet. Thrust ref, VNAV has engaged. So now the VNAV is going to follow everything I've done at the moment to 4,000 feet. So the LNAV engaged is turning to follow the track that I've put it in there. If you look out there, the aeroplane's turning. It's in a turn. It's in a left turn to follow that track that I told it to follow by arming it on the ground. There you go. It's going back to level wings again, and it's climbing away. The VNAV is following exactly what it says. So now it's reached 1,000 feet. It's increased the speed. It's lowering the nose for me to start retracting the flaps. As it gets to the 10 speed, I'll select flaps 10. So there we go. Flaps 10. Continues to accelerate. Accelerating towards the flaps 5. The VNAV in the meantime is still climbing towards 4,000 feet. As I approach the flaps 5 speed, once I pass that flap 5, it means we're safe enough to retract the flap from 10 to 5. There's 5. The pilot flying says flap 5, speed checks, flaps 5. Continues to accelerate towards flap 1. The VNAV continues to climb towards 4,000 feet that I programmed on the ground. So accelerating. Flaps 1, the speed for flaps 1 has been reached. The pilot flying says flaps 1. I say speed checks and select flap 1. The aircraft continues to accelerate. It's past the flap 1, so going to the up speed. Immediately we get that speed for flap up, we can retract the last stage of flap, and the aeroplane will start climbing away in the clean configuration. In the meantime, the VNAV is still climbing towards 4,000 feet. It's not going up very quickly because it's accelerating. There you go. Flaps up. I, as a pilot monitoring, says speed checks, flaps up. I lift and then take it flap up. The leading edges, the last stages are coming up, and the aeroplane is now accelerating towards, in this case, 250 knots. The VNAV is still going up to 4,000 feet. Remember, it engaged at 400 feet. Ordinarily, the pilot flying might be flying it manually. I've just put it into autopilot so you can see what's going on, and I can explain easier for you to understand what's going on. So 250 knots is going to maintain that as close as possible. VNAV is still climbing to 4,000 feet that I've told it. 1,000 feet to go. 900, this goes, the box comes in, there it is, it means 900 feet to go. The aeroplane is still climbing towards 4,000 feet. The VNAV, the arm came out and it became engaged. So let's see what happens. 900 feet to go. The autopilot is engaged. it is going to hold the altitude of 4,000 feet that I programmed. ATC come back and say Cathay 085, continue climb, flight level 200. Roger, continue climb, flight level 200. So I come up here, I said 200, that's 20,000 feet. That shows here 20,000. So the VNAV is saying I'm holding altitude of 4,000 because that's where you sent me. Then I say, okay, I now want you to go to 20,000 feet vertical navigation. So I come up here and I tell it, okay, climb to 20,000. Look at that, thrust ref, VNAV speed, the VNAV has engaged, the thrust ref has come up, and the thrust comes up to get the aeroplane to climb. And we're now climbing up to 20,000 feet because that's what I've told it is going to do. And it's doing exactly what I tell it. That's vertical navigation. In the meantime, the lateral navigation is just following the track that I've put in. There. It's already engaged and it stays engaged from 50 feet after liftoff. It stays in lateral navigation. So lateral is left, right. Vertical is up and down. LNAV, left, right. VNAV, up, down. That's what it is. Later.